Hey YouTube, what's going on? Snowflarky's Emos here today with another deck profile. Today I am bringing my Heraldic Beast deck profile. Heraldic Beast is an interesting older archetype that's based around a rank 4 Xyz summoning, and it was kind of designed as the anti-Xyz deck because their Xyz monsters have a lot of anti-Xyz cards that are supposed to punish your opponent's Xyz monsters. But this is just a deck that I've basically had all the cards for in a while, so I put it together a while back and I've been playing it. This is kind of a deck that I'll use to play against a beginner or new player because it's not incredibly strong just because mostly it hasn't been updated in a while. Like the best thing we got recently was the Time Thief cards, gave it a nice little boost. But it's still a pretty fun deck if you're just picking up and playing casually with a friend. So with that said, let's get into the cards. Starting off with our monsters, I am playing 3 copies of Heraldic Beast Yugioh. Yugioh is probably the best of the Heraldic Beast cards. It's a 2000 attack monster with 4 stars, which is kind of nice. During the end phase of the turn this card was normal summoned, destroy this card, which may seem kind of bad, but the main gist of this card is when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Heraldic Beast monster from your deck to your hand, except Heraldic Beast Yugioh, and you can only use this effective Yugioh once per turn. So basically this guy getting sent to the grave gets you any other Heraldic Beast you want, and that card just works pretty well. One of the main Xyz monsters of the deck will be pitching Heraldic Beast to the grave. It's nice because of the wording. When this guy is detached and sent to the grave, you get to search, and that just makes it pretty nice. It's a good card to use, and it's a good card to see because you want to send it in the grave to get your other Heraldic Beast going. Next, I am playing 3 copies of Heraldic Beast, and I believe you pronounce this Amphizabine? That's not it, but whatever. You can discard one other Heraldic Beast monster to special summon this card from your hand, which is pretty nice. You can get rid of a Yugioh, which will trigger its Yugioh effect, and just further extends. Heraldic Beasts also have a lot of cards that special summon Heraldic Beasts from the graveyard, so ditching one to the grave is not that big of a deal. And you can discard a Heraldic Beast monster so that this card gains 800 attack till the end of this turn. So that's nice. That boosts it to a 2500 attack monster if you need a beater and extra attack strength to close out a game. But it's just basically an extender that gets another level 4 body onto the field. Next up, I am playing 3 copies of Heraldic Beast Unicorn. So Unicorn is, of course, a level 4 beast monster, just like the others we've seen. But this card has a pretty unique effect. You can banish this card from the graveyard to target a Psychic type Xyz monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but its effects are negated. Now that's pretty handy, mainly with our Heraldic Patriarch, or Heraldry Patriarch Xyz monster that you're going to see in the extra deck, because its effect on the field doesn't matter as much as the fact that when it gets sent to the graveyard, you can ditch 2 Heraldic Beasts to the grave, which you can use to generate a lot of advantage. So this card can just banish itself to just bring that card back, which is a nice way to get additional bodies on board, and yeah, pretty good way to recycle your Xyz monster. Next, I am playing 3 copies of Heraldic Beast Aberconway, which is pretty nice. It's a dragon level 4, which says if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish another copy of Heraldic Beast Aberconway from your graveyard to target a Heraldic Beast monster in your graveyard and add that target to your hand. So a nice way to put a target in your hand if you got multiple of these guys in the grave, and of course it's really easy to load up the graveyard with Heraldic Beast cards, so it's just a neat card to have. 1800 attack on the body too is nice, so that if we summon it back, you know, it's a good way to get extra damage to finish off an opponent. And last, for the Heraldic Beasts in the deck, I am playing 2 copies of Heraldic Beast Eel. If you control 2 or more Heraldic Beast monsters, you could special summon this card from your hand. So just a nice way to further extend. If you have 2 Heraldic Beasts on the field already, you could drop this guy out of your hand, and that is pretty sweet. Definitely something we'll be happy to take advantage of when the situation arises. But I'm playing only 2 copies because, you know, there's plenty of situations where after our initial play, you don't get 2 Heraldic Beasts on the field at the same time, since the XZs are not named Heraldic Beast. Next up with our monsters, I am playing 3 copies of Time Thief Winder. So the Time Thieves make a good addition to this deck because, they're a little more modern, so they get a little more movement going. They also work with the rank 4 Xyz strategy, and they also work with Psychic type Xyz, which is a thing that the Heraldic Beasts kind of make, is the Psychic type Xyz monsters. So Time Thief Winder here has 1800 attack on a 4-star body. You can attach a material from an Xyz monster you control to special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Time Thief card from your deck to your hand, except Time Thief Winder, and you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. So it's pretty nice. Special summons itself for free by detaching materials from an Xyz monster. We have plenty of Xyz monsters that we can freely get rid of a material for to get this guy out no problem. And of course, searching a Time Thief card is very nice. Getting card advantage, definitely something we want to see. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Time Thief Regulator. 3 copies because this is definitely a card we might want to see in the opener. If you control no other monsters, you contribute this card to special summon 2 Time Thief monsters with different names from your deck in defense position except Time Thief Regulator. And then when an Xyz monster you control is destroyed by battle, while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon it, but then banish it when it leaves the field. So this is pretty nice. Regulator can pull out any 2 Time Thieves from our deck, which of course can be our Winder or our next 2 targets that we'll see. And of course that just gives you material for an Xyz, and the fact that it recycles itself gives us another 4-star body we could use to make a later Xyz. Makes this a pretty good card. Basically just a card we kind of want to see early, so that's why we're playing 3 of it. Next up, I am playing 1 copy of Time Thief Adjuster. If you normal or special summon a Time Thief monster, except Time Thief Adjuster, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send 1 Time Thief card from your deck to the graveyard, except Time Thief Adjuster. You can use 1 Time Thief Adjuster effect per turn and only once per that turn. So Adjuster, of course, is just a nice a good card to pull off of Regulator to send a Time Thief card into the grave. There are definitely Time Thief cards that benefit being in the grave, such as Bezel Ship or Flyback, which you're going to see in the deck. And, that's just very handy. Of course, one of, because we want to pull it off of Regulator. We don't want to see too many copies of this card, so that's why we're playing it at 1. And last for the Time Thieves, I'm playing Time Thief Bezel Ship at 1 copy. This has a quick effect that you can tribute this card to target a Time Thief Xyz monster you control and attach 1 card from your opponent's graveyard to this as material, which is really nice for when we go into our Time Thief Redoer play. And of course, if this card is in the graveyard, you can detach a material from an Xyz monster you control to special summon this, but banish it when it leaves the field. So that's pretty nice. Again, we can get rid of Xyz materials from our monster, special summon this out. Now, while it says it would be banished if it leaves the field, if we use this as Xyz material, it's going to go back into the graveyard so that we can do it. And it's just a nice way to recycle and constantly get another level 4 body to further extend a play. And that's why it's here. Good card to send to the graveyard. Well, off of Adjuster, makes a good target. Last for the monsters, I do have 2 copies of Effect Veiler, mostly because I keep this deck separately sleeved from my shared sleeves a lot of other decks play. So I just use Effect Veiler here as a general hand trap. It can negate monster effects during my opponent's turn, so if my opponent summons a monster they want to search, I can Effect Veiler it, negate that effect. If you want to play this deck a little more optimally, definitely consider putting your Ash Blossoms here, things like that. But again, also just it's nice that it's Effect Veiler because, again, I'm playing this deck mostly against beginners who don't have that strong a deck, so I don't want to hose them out with Ash. But if you want to play it more optimally, definitely look into that as a stronger hand trap option. And that's it for the monsters. Next, moving into our spell cards, I am playing 2 copies of Charged Up Heraldry. This is a spell card that says tribute a monster to special summon 2 Heraldic Beast monsters from your deck in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except machine or psychic type monsters, which, is why we're playing the Time Thieves, and the Heraldic Beast monsters, of course, make psychic and machine Xyz. So, generally that kind of works out, but it does, deny us some good Xyz access, such as Baguska and Utopia Double. which we definitely play in this deck, so you got to be careful when you play this. That's why I only have this card at 2. But when you need it, you know, being able to go into that, get those 2 extra bodies out definitely helps. And so we will make use of that. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Heraldry Reborn. Really sweet spell for this deck. That just says target a Heraldic Beast monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So this is what's nice about loading your graveyard with Heraldic Beast, is we literally have a spell card that is not a hard once per turn that will just special summon out one of those guys back, so that we can, of course, use it for Xyz material. And that's pretty sweet. We don't mind that. And another great spell card that Heraldic Beasts have is Advanced Heraldry Art. This card is pretty sweet. That says target 2 Heraldic Beast monsters in your graveyard, special summon both of them, and then immediately after this card resolves, Xyz summon an Xyz monster using those 2 monsters. So if you have 2 guys in the graveyard, this spell card just says basically summon an Xyz for free. And it's not even limited to the machine or psychic types, so you can pull out some really good stuff with this. And that's just awesome to have. Great card to run at 3. Next up, I'm running 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Again, we like having guys in the graveyard, especially for all those graveyard reborn card effects we just read. So a card that just dumps a monster into the grave is a great addition. Monster Reborn, another generic way that we can bring something back from the graveyard to just further extend our plays and make more on the board. Don't mind that. Next, we are playing a copy of Double or Nothing. This is the card that allows us to kind of make the Utopia double into Utopia for gameplay, which is definitely an easy way to get a win with this deck. When a monster attack is negated, you can target that monster. It can make a second attack during the battle phase, and if it does, its attack is doubled. So this works with a combo that I'll explain when we get to the extra deck section, but Utopia Double basically searches this card, then you put Utopia on it, which gives it 5,000 attack, then you attack with Utopia, use its effect to negate Utopia's attack, play Double or Nothing, which will then allow you to attack again, but double Utopia's attack, so that 5,000 will become 10,000, and that means any attack position monster that is in that has 2,000 or less attack will just be an OTK, and that's why we play it, especially since we're making so many rank 4s in this deck already. And last for the spells, I'm playing 1 copy of Mind Control. Target a monster your opponent controls until the end phase, and you take control of that target, but it cannot declare an attack or be tributed. So this is just a way, if our opponent has other level 4 monsters, which a lot of decks do, we can take one of those level 4s that's left and just use it as material. Additionally, we can, kind of pull it from the board if it will allow us to, get enough damage in to finish off our opponent. So it's just a nice little card to have at 1 of. And that is it for the spells. Next up, as far as trap cards go, I am playing 2 copies of Time Thief Flyback. This is one of the nice cards that's good for Adjuster to send to the graveyard. It has an effect that says we can target a Time Thief Xyz monster we control and attach a Time Thief card from your hand or deck to it as material. So that's pretty nice. Gets a, Time Thief card out of our deck. It gives it material so we can use its effects. And of course, this card has a nice graveyard effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard to target a Time Thief Xyz monster you control and attach 1 card from your opponent's graveyard to that Xyz monster. So it's nice, takes targets out of your opponent's grave. If it's a spell or a trap card that we want to add to it, it allows our Time Thief Redoer to have extra effects. And that's just pretty nice. 2 of this card, I was playing 1 of this and 1 of the spell, but I just found myself wanting to use the trap card more often, just to attach things to the grave and use the trap effect of Time Thief Redoer. So 2 it is. And last, kind of a card I just put in here for fun, definitely not optimal, but I'm playing 1 copy of Drowning Mirror Force. Just a very funny card that could cheese an occasional win on an unsuspecting opponent. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, shuffle all your opponent's attack position monsters into the deck. Definitely something that I would say replace with another hand trap if you want to play a little more optimally. But this deck kind of needs ways to sneak cheesy wins on unsuspecting opponents, and just having a Drowning Mirror Force in that last slot for me has done it before. Again, not optimal. Switch your disruptions to hand traps, whatever you need against whatever you're playing against. Alright, going into our extra deck, I am playing one copy of Time Thief Perpetua. So Perpetua here requires 2 level 4 monsters, is a Psychic XYZ monster, which means it's one we can go into once we're locked into Psychic XYZ from something like Charged Up Heraldry. During the standby phase, you can detach a material from this card to target a Time Thief monster in your graveyard, except Time Thief Perpetua, and special summon that monster, which is pretty nice. And then it also has a quick effect. You can target one other XYZ monster you control to it and attach one Time Thief card from your deck to it as a material. And of course, you can only use these effects once per turn. So a nice little card there gets Time Thieves out of our deck to attach to XYZ monsters, which is pretty nice, especially because Redoer benefits from different card types being attached to it. And of course, just special summoning out a guy from our grave is pretty nice. So just a nice card to have in that option that we want to pull more cards out of the deck. Good deal. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Time Thief Redoer. Maybe a little overkill, maybe only 2 copies are needed, but Time Thief Redoer is a card we will go to in a lot in this deck. It's a rank 4 with 2,400 attack, requires 2 level 4 monsters. Once per turn, during the standby phase, you can attach the top card of your opponent's deck to this card as material. Very nice disruptive effect, especially if we snatch a crucial one of or just a crucial card that our opponent needed to stop. That can outright cheese a win right there. But then it also has the quick effect that you can detach up to 3 different types of materials from this card and apply the following effects based on the types that were detached from it. So monster cards, which of course is what we usually always have on here because you need monsters to make XYZ, is that we banish this card until the end phase. That's a nice way to have this card dodge removal. Of course, if it's spell, we can draw a card. That's nice, something we like to do. And trap, we can place one face-up card your opponent controls on the top of the deck, which is nice, removes it from the field and makes it so, hey, you know, maybe Redoer's snatching that up next turn so they don't get it back. And of course, you can only use the effect of Time Thief Redoer once per turn. So a great card to go into in this deck, especially once we get locked into Psychic or Machine XYZ. And, you know, if we get the right stuff attached to it, we can get a lot of card advantage out of this card. And being able to just snatch cards from our opponent's deck can be quite handy. Pretty fun card to play overall. Last, for our specifically Psychic type XYZ, I am playing 2 copies of number 18 Heraldry Patriarch. This is the kind of Heraldic Beast, easy to make XYZ payoff. It requires 2 level 4 monsters. Once per chain, during either player's turn, if 2 or more monsters with the same name are on the field, you can detach a material from this card and choose one among those monsters of the same name and destroy it. And destroy all other monsters with the same name. So basically makes it so that your opponent can't have 2 monsters of the same name on the field. Doesn't come up a lot, but comes up some. But of course, the other really good effect of this card, while this card remains face up on the field, your opponent cannot summon monsters with the same name as the monsters chosen for this card's effect. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send up to 2 Heraldic Beast monsters from your deck to the graveyard. So basically you kind of want to summon this guy just to get him off the field so that you can send Heraldic Beast to the grave and trigger their effects, or just have their materials in for your spell cards to you know, really go off. And of course, this guy can be recycled back constantly with the unicorn. So once you summon him once, you just bring him back with the unicorn. He's on the field again. If he gets removed, you're going to send more Heraldic Beasts to the graveyard, which deck thins. And it's just a pretty cool card. Definitely one I like to play. And nice little way to get Heraldic Beasts into the grave. Continuing on with the rest of our deck is mostly just XYZ's good stuff. I am playing 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. Definitely a card I'd consider moving up to 2 if I had another copy. But this card is nice because once per turn, if an XYZ monster has battled this turn, you can throw this card on top of an XYZ monster And then, of course, it just gets the quick effect that you can detach 2 materials from this card to send all other cards from the field to the graveyard, which is pretty nice. Good way to disrupt your opponent on their turn and make it hard for them to kind of bounce back if you can just quick effect get rid of everything other than this card. And there's plenty of XZs in this deck, and you know, we're going to attack. We have ways to give XZs more materials, so we can use the Divine Arsenal Zoo's AA's effect even more than once per turn, which is pretty nice. So overall, just a really great card to have. Next up, a copy of Baguska, Terribly Tired to Peer. 2 level 4 monsters. When you special summon this card in defense mode, it'll put everything in defense, and defense monsters can't activate their effects. So it kind of gives you a skill drain for a couple turns. It does lose a material every standby phase, and then if it can't detach a material, it destroys itself, so you can't sit on it forever. But if you need to kind of stall to get a little extra cards, which is definitely something you'll find you need to do in this deck, you got good old Baguska here that can help do that. Next up, I'm playing a copy of Tornado Dragon, 2 level 4 monsters. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can attach a material to destroy a spell or trap card on the field. Very handy to have. Next up are the 2 pieces of our Utopia double play. Utopia Double and Utopia. So Utopia Double here requires 2 level 4 effect monsters, and when you summon him, you can add Double or Nothing, that quick play spell, from the deck to your hand. And of course, if you do, you can, you know, throw Utopia on it afterward, and it will double its attack to 5,000. You do have to detach a material from 39 Utopia Double in order to use that effect, but that's fine. That means when you throw Utopia on it, it's going to have Utopia Double and another card under it, so it will still have 2 materials, and Utopia will have 5,000 attack. Then if we attack, use Utopia's effect to negate its attack, and of course use Double or Nothing to then make it so it'll attack again with double strength. That means Utopia will be attacking at 10,000, which is incredibly good. And yeah, any attack position monster with 2,000 or less attack can basically give us an avenue to win the game. So very important. I win a lot of games with this deck by this strategy, and you know, it's just something very handy. This card, Photon Pappler Operative, is a cheeky little card I've thrown into here. It's very easy to get off multiple XZ summons in one turn with this deck. And so we can kind of force our opponent into a scenario where they have a monster with 2,000 or less attack. If they have a defense position monster, we can detach a material from this card to target that defense position monster, switch it to attack, and if it does lose, it loses 600 attack, which is pretty nice. Gives us an avenue to force a Utopia Double situation if our opponent is playing around it, and so for that reason, I like to keep one of it. Next, I got 1 copy of Abyss Dweller here, 4-star XZ, 1700 attack. During either player's turn, we can detach a material, and your opponent cannot activate any card effects in the graveyard this turn. Very handy for all those graveyard-based decks. You know, they can't use their card effects in the grave. Very hard to deal with. Next up, I'm playing 1 copy of Gagaga Samurai. It's just a card that requires 2 level 4 monsters, and then once per turn, we can detach a material to select to have this card attack twice. So just a nice way to get extra damage if we want to push for game, and we see that Gagaga Samurai opens us the avenue. It gives us 2 1900 attacks, which, you know, a lot of our level 4 monsters that we would have had are going to be weaker than that, so definitely a good opportunity. And last, 1 copy of Gagaga Cowboy. If we summon Gagaga Cowboy in defense and then detach a material, we can burn our opponent for 800 life point damage, which is sometimes enough to close out a game, especially because that means our Utopia Double can do a little less damage, and if I can still get them under 800, I can finish off the game. And I always love finishing off the game with Cowboy, so just a fun card to have in there. That's it for the extra deck. So that is it for my Heraldic Beast deck profile. Again, just a very, you know, low power pick up and play deck, casual, really good deck to play against new players to show them about XZ summoning and things like that. Hopefully in the future we can get some more stuff that could, you know, boost this deck up a little bit. And of course, do remember that there are definitely more optimal decisions you can make in your build, combining hand traps, cutting the Heraldic Beast engine to like the minimum amount required to get some of the plays going. Uh, Even simple extra deck improvements, can be done. More AA Zeuses are good, things like that. But it's a deck I definitely enjoy playing. I'll definitely consider playing more of it, and I'll be keeping my eyes out in the future for any new support that could help boost the Heraldic Beast, because I really like the artworks of these cards, and I think they really could just use some better Xyz payoff archetypes, because their Xyz monsters are a bit dated at this point. But I appreciate you all checking out the deck profile, and I'll catch you in the next one.